Panya Udapadi.
Good evening, Dharma friends. Wish you the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem for a happy and peaceful Sutta studies this evening. Today is June 19th, Saturday evening. So we are going to start the Sutta study class for tonight. I know that you are waiting for this class just because of the Dhamma. You know the fact that the discussing Dhamma is really important for our practice, and it boosts our practice, and it gives encouragement to look for different avenues of the Dhamma in our training. So this 1 hour session, a little bit more to 1 hour would be providing you that platform. I guess we have been doing well with the discussion Dhamma, and I would encourage you to participate in the discussion at any time of the 1 hour session so that your questions, your concern will help others in the discussion. So with that, let me begin today's Sutta study class by paying our homage to the Buddha 3 times in Pali and in English. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Fully Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. After a great discussion on Mahachattarithika Sutta, where we talk about the Noble Eightfold Path in 2 ways and different ways, and also what consists of an Arahant in the name of the path, we are going to discuss another particular very important discourse. As you get my email notification, it is the Sutta number 8.2 in Anguttara Nikaya of the book called 8. So the name of the sutta is Panya Sutta. Simple translation is wisdom. To make the sutta study easy, sometime I make PowerPoint presentation. Actually, there was a time that I completely dedicated my time to make those PowerPoint presentation for different discourses because it helps all the monks and lay people who teach Dhamma to use them, but I could not finish it. But I was able to make some, and now I am using one of them to make the lessons easy. So let me share with you the PowerPoint presentation of Panya Sutta so that you can hear as well as see the important points. I think all of you see in the screen about the sutta, the presentation about the sutta. Unfortunately, those who join with us through live stream cannot see this because it's a different stream. But don't worry, I will explain each and every single factors of the discourse for your understanding. Panya Sutta, as you know, is a very important discourse. By the name, you get what it is. Panya is the Pali and Prajna is the Sanskrit word for wisdom in English, and it covers a lot. This is the master of every important qualities. I'm discussing about the implication of Panya with different names in the noble training during the presentation, but now simply understand that this is one of the aggregates in the developing side of the Dhamma, while Sila and Samadhi stand together with Panya. Why we need to discuss about Panya? Because it is the most important quality for all of us. When there is no Panya, there are problems in Sangha community, in lay community, in the secular world. Uh, Problems arise due to lack of prajna. Being unable to apply wisdom or panya, we experience social, national, global issues. So if we have panya, not only the spiritual success we could get, but we also can regulate our normal life, according to the law and order in our society. And we would definitely share our things with others if we have panya. We would respect each other, and we would protect the nature. We would allow next generation to be peaceful in this world with all the requirements if we have panya in us. So developing panya could be, such an important act and practice for all of us individually, as a family, as a society. So let's talk about how the Buddha asks us to develop panya, because we all know the fact that panya is important. Panya should be there as the leader of for everyone in the noble treating. But have you focused what kind of practices we should do just to develop that panya quality in our mind? We know how to develop sila. We know how to develop samadhi. We know how to develop generosity. And to be away from anger, we know what should be done. And to understand each other in a normal level as well as in high level, we know what should be done. But have you known about the ways to develop panya exactly as it is? That is a question we all should have. So in this Panya Sutta from Anguttara Nikaya, we can understand what exactly Buddha offers uh, to take and develop panya. Um, Let me begin reading the sutta so that we can go with the PowerPoint presentation. Bhikkhus, these are the 8 causes and conditions that lead to obtaining the wisdom fundamental to the spiritual life when it has not been obtained, and to its increase, maturation, and fulfillment by the development after it has been obtained. What 8? That's how the Buddha started the discourse. So it is very clear that Buddha mentioned that wisdom has been the condition for each and every spiritual quality. If you haven't developed some qualities that are necessary, so this wisdom should apply in your practice and day-to-day activities in order for you to have those missing spiritual qualities. And spiritual life is a dedication of various practices. For example, if you practice just only one quality, it is praiseworthy and appreciated by everyone. But in order to get maturity on the spiritual life, you need to practice more, including wisdom, including panya faculty, including samadhi. So that's what Buddha mean here in a simple language. So let us see what kind of factors we have. Now I just want to go through the PowerPoint presentation. If you have any difficulty to follow this PowerPoint presentation, please indicate me either by chat box or unmute your mic and speak out. Okay. So in today's, give me a second. So now we have this. Okay. So, how to develop Panya is the key topic of today's discussion based on Panya. So, in today's discussion, the thing we discuss is introduction to the discourse that we already did, and then the importance of the discourse we roughly touch upon that, and we would definitely discuss over and over again about that during the discussion. And then what is wisdom? That is a very important questions for all of us, because sila is understood clearly separately from others. Generosity, as you have been involved with that factor um, many time in your life, you distinguish that factor from your behavior. But wisdom, but samadhi, those are the things we need to think separately. Then the development of wisdom for Nibbana is another important section of the previous question. We uh, we have wisdom about many other things, but how about wisdom for Nirvana, and how can we line it out, line our activities for developing wisdom for Nirvana? So we will be discussing about that. And the next point is the 8 causes to develop wisdom. That is based on the Panya Sutta. So these are the highlights of today's discussion. Panya Sutta is delivered to an unknown group of monks by the Buddha at the Jetvanarama in Savatthi. As you know, Evang me sutang ekang samayang bhagava Savatyang virati Jetavane anath pindika sarame. That was the introduction given by Venerable Ananda at the First Sangha Council about the Buddha's discourse. So this discourse is also uttered by the Buddha while he was living at the Jetvanarama to an unknown group of monks. So that is very common for you, and you understand that. So next, what is wisdom? Wisdom is the ability to comprehend 4 things. What 4 things? This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. And this is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Basically, this is the fundamental and very accurate Sutta-centered definition for wisdom. Being able to comprehend, fully comprehend the 4 noble truths is called wisdom. Panya, and what are the other words we use for Panya as synonyms? Vijja, and then there are other things that I cannot remember now. So basically, knowing about the 4 noble truths is called wisdom or Panya. Now you distinguish very clearly the knowledge from Prajna. So you are a scholar on sociology. You would be a scholar on other field of studies such as astrology, science, psychology, economics, and what else? Any other? But it's called knowledge. It's called experience on something. But wisdom, buddhi, or panya is different from that. Those who have the knowledge of different field of studies and life would be find easy ground for them to go with wisdom, because they have vast knowledge about it. But wisdom is being able to see the 4 truth within and also outside of his or her life. So as you said, dukkha Arya Satcha, Dukkha Nirodha Arya Satcha, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini, Dukkha Arya Satcha, Dukkha Samudaya Satcha, Dukkha Nirodha Satcha, Dukkha Nirodha Gamini, Patipada Arya Satcha in Pali, the 4 noble truths. So that is wisdom. Let me have something else. Wisdom is the ability to see things as they are. What is that? So that is, everything is impermanent. So wisdom deals with seeing things as they are, means you would be able to comprehend that every conditions things is impermanent, anicca. The second one, now you can guess what it is. If everything is impermanent, they are unsatisfactory. So when everything is conditional, we know the fact that they are impermanent. So when everything is impermanent, can we find them happy? Of course, momentarily we could find them happy, but we cannot hold on to that. If everything is, if even something is happy, we would be able to take the full control of it. For example, you all like to keep your hair black and bright always. I don't have hair, therefore I don't have those worries. But as lay people, one of the important things you I think consider is your hair, your skin color, the clothes you wear, the body shape, uh, uh, because you are individual, you are a part of the society. But can you keep any of those physical body parts in your own way all the time? I don't think so. So you, without your consent, they are going to change. They are going to discolor, and they are breakable. So if there is something conducive to your ownership, you would be able to have them in your control. But we do not find such things in this life, in the society, in the world, that we could control. So that is why we say that everything is fundamentally unsatisfactory. People become confused with this fact that, okay, why we have happiness then? Buddha talks about the suffering not in the normal sense. He talks about the suffering in the normal sense, dukkha, dukkha, and so on. Not getting what we want is unhappy. But even in happy lives, with all the things in your life, there is a fundamental dukkha. Even suppose the multimillionaires in modern world would have the access to each and every medical support, and they would fly with their own jets, and they would have mansion like thing. They are not worrying about anything in this world that ordinary people concern. But could they stop aging? Could they stop getting sickness? Can they stop deterioration of their brain and heart physically? No, nobody can do that. So therefore, jati, due to the birth, it is a suffering. It is and sicknesses, and vulnerable to all the changes. They are suffering. That's why Buddha talks about the dukkha here. If everything is impermanent, there is unsatisfactoriness, dukkha, behind the scene. So that is also a part of wisdom. And the third one is that what is unsatisfactory is not worth to grasp as I, me, and myself. So if you see that everything is changing, starting from you, your thoughts change, your emotions change, and your perception change, and your plans change, and your wishes change, and then you could see the change in the outer world, and you cannot stop it, and temporary happiness is going to change. So then, can you find particular you or me or myself in those concepts, in those occasions? It is a mundane truth that we keep I identity there, but fundamentally there is no I. If there is I, you would have the control over of all these changes. So anatta in Buddhism is really important for someone to get out of the problem initially, in order to go forward on the noble training to speed up the peace and happiness. So I think wisdom is such that you see the three characteristic of the nature as the Buddha mentioned, and that is wisdom. Now you have a clear idea of what type of wisdom we talk about in the Panya Sutta. All right, so sorry about uh, these things. So now we move on to wisdom in the Buddha's teaching. I want to show you different names and implication of wisdom in set of teachings of the 37 factors of enlightenment, so that you can make connections to each and every teachings of the Buddha's wonderful teaching. So you can see the Noble Eightfold Path, the list here. So right understanding is highlighted, and then you can see the four bases of power: Chanda, Chitta, Virya, Vimansa. In English, desire, energy, consciousness, and investigation. So you see that investigation is highlighted, and you see five powers, and the wisdom is there highlighted. Now you see seven factors of enlightenment, and the second one is highlighted. The Pali word for investigation of mental phenomena is called Dhamma Vichaya. And then you have five spiritual faculties. The fifth one, the wisdom Panya, is highlighted. Let me see the last one. So the four intrepidities, the Vimansa, the ingenuity or analysis or investigation is highlighted. So Panya is presented with different names in different set of teachings, and you can see that. So those who wants to attain any stage of enlightenment or directly the full enlightenment, you may take one of these sects uh, and then and go with, and there you address Panya as a spiritual faculty. So here we have five sets, and it covers, except for Satipatthana of the 37 factors of enlightenment, we have every sets here. So in each you have wisdom. Even in Satipatthana, definitely we have, but I didn't take it just because we don't have that Panya, word Panya there. That's why I did not put it here. So this is how Panya or wisdom is given a prominent place of each set of 37 factors of enlightenment. So other conditions to cultivate Panya: associate wise people, Kalyanamitta Sevana in Pali. This is very, very important, because if you have a person who doesn't know anything ethically and spiritually, you become that. One of my friends had that experience. He was out of the country for some time, and he was working uh, 24 roughly 20 hours per day, and during the other times he had association of general average people. Earlier he was listening to them, he was engaged with meditation, but due to the fact that he wants a lot of money for paying debts and other things, he was having this hustle bustle busy lifestyle with jobs and average minded people. After a few months he came across that he doesn't have that ability of meditating hereafter. He could not control his emotions. He seems angry and upset easily by little things, because he was working throughout the day from morning to the late evening, and then he comes to his room just to get shower and eat, and during the week he had some time to talk to friends, and they are also talking about TikToks and matches and teledramas. So the environment made him to be in that situation. That's why he felt that he was out of the tune of the Dham after several months. So if he had one or two people in close connection who deals with the Dhamma very well, he would definitely appreciate it and could be hang on to some Dhamma practices. But he was not in a position to do that, because the temple is far away from him, and the people who could associate in person was not like that. That's why I I emphasize the fact that having wholesome people, wise people in close contact is a blessing. So it's just like you come to a crossroad, and one road is towards negative side and the other one is the positive side. If you go on this first A road, you would end up with thugs, drug addicted people, abused people, and people who are blaming for everybody else for their failure. So you will be one of them in a short period of time. But if you take the road to the wholesome side, there you meet kind-hearted people, generous people. They are so happy and they have regulated their life according to principles. And you do not hear those busy, arguments and heat arguments. And you do not hear theft and thugs and all these things. So you will be in a safe place and you become one of them in a short period of time. So having kind, hearted, wise people is the first conditions for developing panya. Look at the Buddha. Whenever a person comes to the Buddha or all these great disciples, those people turn their character completely, and they started their peaceful lifestyle. Look at Venerable Angulimala. He was a murderer, and within a second, Buddha was able to turn him into a innocent purple as he was before. So listening to the Dhamma is again important for developing Panya. Panya here is three kinds. Sutameya Panya is the Panya you get by listening to Dhamma and writing the Dhamma, reading the Dhamma, and a form of discussion you get the Dhamma. So you can develop that particular first Panya by every other means as I mentioned. So even this Sutta study class is a way of Panya and listening to Dhamma, and you develop Sutameya Panya. And then while listening, you can think of just to see the connection of the Dhamma to your life. As a result, you develop Chintame Panya. You ponder, think over and over again with the Dhamma facts with your own experience. So second type of Panya is being developed by way of cultivating the first one, and simultaneously you think of about investigating. So listening to uh, Dhamma, then the third one and the fourth one, cultivation of appropriate attention. And then after listening, while listening, you put your yoniso manasikara into application. There you can argue, there you can contrast and compare. Does the Bante mention the right thing? Do they have another thing to adhere? So you can question each and everything, but with the intention of knowing the Dhamma, with the intention of gaining the momentum of the Dhamma. So following the Dhamma. So once you have wholesome association and listening to the Dhamma and also pattern of proper thinking, you are in the Dhamma, you are not worried about any problems. So friends, as you can see, these four important conditions, they are the conditions for someone to develop to attain Sotapan. So these are the four conditions to cultivate Panya. In the suttas, Buddha mentioned that we should take the Dhamma as a means to develop Panya, not to attach to it. That is recorded in Alagadupama Sutta of Majjhima Nikaya. And suppose you listen to different type of Dhamma sermons. So some Dhamma sermons could be there in the air, in YouTube or in Facebook, that talks about the nationality, that talks about how to support this and that. I don't think that they are bad, but they are good for a purpose. But what we expect in the noble training is to cool down our burning mind Our mind is burning with anger and hatred, ill will, jealousy, anxiety. So our mind is burning always. So we want to put the coolants into our mind and get peace and happiness. That is the very purpose of the Dhamma. So if you listen to any talk, any Dhamma talk, this is the condition you should have to decide whether that Dhamma talk is according to the Buddha's Dhamma and Vinaya. So in Alagadupama Sutta, if you Buddha hint that if you get the wrong Dhamma, it is just like catching the snake by the tail or somewhere of the snake except the neck. If you catch the snake by the neck over like this over here, the snake cannot bite you. You will be out of danger. But if you catch the snake somewhere else, you will be in a great danger. So if you take the Dhamma from different wrong views, friends, you will be in a great danger too, because you are taking some nonsense, you are taking some wrong Dhamma into your mind, and you behave like that. So that is from Alagaduma Sutta. So now we can see the results of developing Panya. Here Panya Patilabhaya Sangvattati Khatamo Panya Patilabo. The Buddha clearly said that in order to gain wisdom, what exactly we need to do, what exactly we need to work on, right? Khatamo Panya Patilabo. How do we get the treasure of wisdom? Chatunnang Magga Palanang. So by practicing any conditions conducive to develop wisdom, we get these things: four path and four fruition. So these are the results of Panya. So when you develop Panya according to Panya Sutta, which we shortly take into consideration, you get nothing but four path and four fruition. That means you are on the noble training. So then we have Atta, true meaning of the terms. So when you develop the wisdom faculty, you get to know about those terms and their meaning. And Dhamma, the law of Dhamma, Nirukti, the correct use of words, and Patibhana, the ability to explain the Dhamma to others correctly. Simply, it means, friends, that when you are on the right training for development, for wisdom, you would be able to understand the meaning of each and every word. Suppose you are in an average normal conversation, even with them, you get to know what exactly this is. For example, suppose two people talk about the, general, very average business, and a fight about some people, and you talk about terrorists and so on. So though if you are in a mode to develop wisdom always, you get to know that this is a normal conversation, and they are talking about different people's craving, anger. So you address the issue very well in you to guard your mind from any self view, any sort of unwholesomeness by analyzing that conversation. So that's why you get, that's why I told you that you get the meaning of any conversation as a result of the measures to develop Panya. So I quickly go through this. So by developing Panya, you can get all these magical powers, such as, Iddhi Vida. That means you can appear as two people, or five people, 10 people for others as a part of the developing Panya into a certain level. So then you can have divine, ear, Dibba Sota. Perhaps you can, if you have divine eye, you can, listen to whatever we talk about here at the temple without any telephone, without any Zoom or any media, because you have divine divine ear. So that the path for it is the development of the Panya. Then penetration of the mind of others. So you know these supernatural, supernormal powers of the Buddha's teaching. So the path for that is developing panya. Now we go to the first condition out of 8. Actually, there are 8 conditions uh, to be developed to get into the maturity of panya. Let me read the discourse now. The Buddha said in the introduction that there are 8 conditions to follow to develop wisdom. First one, here a bhikkhu lives in dependence on the teacher or on a certain fellow monks in the position of a teacher, towards whom he has set up a keen sense of moral shame and moral dread, affection, and reverence. This is the first cause and condition that leads to obtaining the wisdom fundamental to the spiritual life when it has not been obtained, and to its increase, maturation, and fulfillment by development after it has been obtained. So, having a great teacher who knows the Dhamma very well and constantly going to the teacher and questions about various things would be the first factor for developing panya. So each of you have teachers and not necessarily living close to you physically, but you have one or two teachers in your mind that I go with this teacher because his sermons, talks, and interpretation are really matching with the way I think. So you follow that teacher. You get the points of those that teacher for your practice, and perhaps you go to that teacher in person once a while to get more instruction and live with him. So that would be encouragement. So titulate, that is living on independence of a Dhamma teacher. So you should have it. So for us, we have our teachers. We have many teachers in that we consider good and profound, very important for us. And you also consider monks, and perhaps it could be a lay person that you consider very much important, and you keep him or her in your teacher's position. So it doesn't matter who it is, but very important thing is that you should get instruction from him, you should get clarification about them, and so on. So that is what Theravada tradition is. You have a teacher and you become a student first, and then you take the position of teacher and train others. And perhaps you would be a father and mother, and you would be the teacher for your children with the Dhamma. So that is the first. And the second one, as the Buddha said, is as he is living in dependence, independent, not independence, in dependence on the teacher or a certain fellow monks in the position of a teacher towards whom he has set off a keen sense of moral shame and moral dread, affection and reverence. He approached them from time to time and inquire. So I added that part earlier. So the second one is inquiry. Anathapindika is an example of not taking this second factor. In one discourse, it is mentioned that he did not want to go to the Buddha and questions because he thought that Buddha has been helping monks and nuns and lay people throughout the day. So even if I have questions, I shouldn't ask from him because it gives him tiresome moment. That is, he did it because he had compassion for Buddha. He thinks the Buddha's well-being. Therefore, he did not get into deep Dhamma discussion um, um, throughout his life, except few moments in his life. But if you keep a teacher as your mentor for spiritual success, you need to question. So you need to ask questions. If that is a good teacher, he won't be angry with you, he won't be upset with you, because he should have, good teacher should have compassion for the student, or for the people who ask questions. So questioning the teacher about the dharma is mean here in the second factor. um, uh, so you can ask the different questions, that is what we mean. The third point is bodily and mental aloneness, that is cultivating stillness of both the body and mind. What do you mean by this? That means you should take kind of secluded time period, uh, in a free, in 1 day or 2 days after every day or bi-weekly, just to allow your wisdom faculty developed itself. It means meditation should be done in a regular basis, in a basis that you can catch the the important qualities in it. So that is what we mean here in the third factor. So look, samahitang chittang yatabhutam pajanati. What does that mean? When the mind is concentrated, you are able to see things as they are. So the concentration, the peaceful, still mind is a requirement for one to get into deep Dhamma. And then Natti Janang Apanyasa Panyanati Ajayetu. Without concentration, without jhanic experiences, there you don't have wisdom at all. Uh, you have some wisdom, but it is not developed that much to see the things as they are. So taking time for yourself and meditate on something you are familiar with is a required thing for cultivating wisdom. So you can either select a beautiful garden or room, or where any place where there is no hustle bustle busy nature of life, and you can find a beautiful tree and go under and do it. Perhaps you can go to the water and get the support of that thrilling experience with the pond and the water and meditate. So no matter which place you go, this fact is important. You need to isolate yourself physically as well as mentally. So withdrawal in body, that means you are going away from your husband, wife, children, and friends, away from them, and find a place to sit and do it. And then withdrawal in mind. It is, first one is easier in the comparison, but second one is somewhat harder, because withdrawal in mind means you take your perception from different things you saw, you heard, you sense, and keep it here right now with the body, with the breath, with the peaceful thoughts. So if you do the first one, you can do the second one. Now we jump into the fourth out of 8. Moral virtue, that is keeping to the monastic discipline to the fullest if you are a monk or a nun. But if you are a lay person, be confident that you adhere to the 5 principles and other ethical rules that you appreciate in daily life. So that is required. Sile patittaya naro sapanyo chittang panyancha bhavyang. The Buddha said that those who, based on moral conditions, moral principles, can develop their mind into samadhi and also wisdom, and those people untie the suffering, the problem of suffering, and release from it. So sila is very, very important. Unfortunately, people do not regard this very much, because it has been everywhere. Even uneducated people come to temple and praises and observe still. Therefore people disregard it, because it is not what sila means. It is a part of sila. As a result of their dedication on the full moon day at the temple with 8 precepts, they get to know Dhamma little by little. And I'm not saying that they are matured people in the Dhamma, but that should be appreciated for people like that. If they do not have it, what else they have? They are missing the opportunity in this life. So as a result of committing themselves to the eight principles on full moon day, they get to know about Shraddha, they get to know about other factors that monks discuss at the temple. So I really appreciate those people. And you, if you have gone through the Sila level in theoretical understanding, so you would definitely catch these important points very much and develop it further. So moral virtue for monks means Patimokka Sangvara Sila. So stick to the moral, monastic rules and so forth. And as lay people do not violate or do not break the five principles with intention. Perhaps it could break unintentionally, but you can refill and repair it again and again. So give some faith on moral principles and have some shraddha on it, then it's easily being practiced. So now I go to the next point. I mentioned here, before the next point, I mentioned here the number of sila point, sila for, sila for monks, novice monks and novice nuns has 10 in numbers, and bhikkhus has 236 and bhikkhunis has 311, and lay people have 5, 8, 10 precepts. So these are the numbers of sila. If you consider the sila with different sets. So now we go to the fifth one, deep learning, that is mastering the Dhamma in their import and practice. So time to time, you must engage with deep Dhamma discussion. I think even this Sutta study class is in that list, but sometime we just mention, we just go on the surface level. But this is good as a beginning. But sometime you should find your own friends and discuss the Dhamma in full details, and try to bring the whole idea of this discourse, that discourse, and how we develop the Dhamma in our daily life with this fact. And so you should have close connection with the Dhamma friends to dive into deep Dhamma learning. So as monks, as you can see in the picture, we should get together as monks and discuss the Dhamma. Our purpose should not only to deliver the Dhamma to lay people and make them happy just because they support us with four requisite. We as monks, as treasures of the Dhamma, should learn the Tripitaka well and put them into application in our own happiness and out of many people's happiness. Bahusuto hoti sutadaro sutta sannīcayo yecha dhamma Adi Kalyan, Madhye Kalyan, Pariyosana Kalyan, Sattang, Sabhyanjanang, Kevala Paripunnang, Parisuddhang, Brahmacharyan, Adivas, Adivadanti. So this Pali tells us that Tatarupasa Dhamma Bahusutta. So if you are engaging with Dhamma learning and remembering things and repeating them, which is excellent in the beginning and in the middle and in the end, you could be a Bahusruta, the person who knows well, and that helps for you to help yourself and others equal. So a lot to discuss with one factor, but I do not go into such level. So sixth one, industry. What does that mean? That is effort in overcoming unwholesome state and cultivating wholesome ones. Actually, this covers virya factor. So you can see that effort to prevent unwholesome qualities, effort to extinguish unwholesome qualities that has already arisen. First one is about the effort, the unwholesomeness, which has not yet arisen. But the second one, now you have unwholesomeness, so your effort is to let go of that. And the third one is to cultivate skillfulness and good things and positive things with about the Dhamma, about the wisdom. And the last one is the effort to maintain or strengthen the wholesomeness that has already arisen. So this talk about the four type of virya, and that is helping you developing wisdom. So in order to, have the full form of virya, you avoid some bad things, and also at the same time get some good things into application. So that completes the right effort. That is the sixth one. In that, you can see killing animals is a wrong action, and making people upset, and thugs, and doing inviting you to have anything that is harmful to your spiritual life could not be righteous, and they should be let go of. If you want to go to nirvana on the noble training quickly, you have to take very strong decision in your social life. So yeah, some of you have done this, some of you are still in the training period to avoid those things. So I encourage you to avoid those things in your life if you have them still. So the seventh one is speaking the dharma, that is either discussing the dharma or meditate. So frequent dharma discussion. That's why I offer you this session. I know that it is not my own opinion should work here in this. So the discussion, you are open to say anything related to the topic. So we have Dhamma discussion here. That is required for clearing our mind with the Dhamma. Panya is a mental state which hide in our mind. Unless we give the moments and opportunities with various practices for its development, it dies there. Avidya or foolishness would be the prominent quality in us. So we all have that panya indriya in us. So it is our duty to engage with the frequent Dhamma discussion with Dhamma friends, and let that seed of wisdom develop in us. So having only few wishes, I quote here very important statement by Venerable Anuruddha in Anuruddha Sutta. They are called, uh, 8 type of Mahapurusha Vitarka. So you can talk, you can have your Dhamma discussion based on these things. This primarily again talk about your speech. So if you feel some speeches are not conducive to your wisdom or peaceful, just let them go. So this is where you station your wholesome practice with regard to the 7 condition of developing wisdom. So the last one, last point of this 8 is here you can see. So here you see generosity and giving. You have to say yes for all these things in order to develop wisdom. So now we come to the last point, watching rising and falling, and having fully understand of this rising and falling, especially about 5 aggregates. You can see the rising and falling of various things in the society, in the world. But what we mean here is rising and falling of 5 aggregates, five skandha, 5 aggregates of clinging, rupa, form, vedana, sensation or feeling, then sanya, perception. The fourth one is mental formation and the consciousness. So these are the 5 aggregates. I think we don't have much time to discuss in details about these 5 aggregates, but simply they are combination of material and immaterial things we absorb. We basically in one point they are all mental. Even rupa is not that particular rupa exists outside, but rupa sanya, the thought of uh, you know perception about rupa. So basically, if you consider these 5 aggregates very much, there you have the momentum of deep wisdom in your mind, in your understanding. So seeing samudaya and vayas, rising and falling of 5 aggregates, is the eight conditions of developing wisdom. Uh, so there you have the eight condition in one slide. Being with the teacher, dependent on him or her, you get to know more Dhamma. So in the second condition, we talk about that inquiry with the teacher. And the third, bodily and mental aloneness, being away from the busy society, busy lifestyle, and be away from your family for a while just to be alone. Suppose you are at home, and why don't you close your door of your room, of your office, and stay calm and peaceful, observing your mind, observing your body. So that is what we mean. Perhaps you are able to get samadhi, but if you cannot, it's still good, because you tried. So that is required. Then moral virtues, as you know much about it, you know the importance of moral virtues. And deep learning, sometimes we get to know some deep aspect of them, not only giving, not only charity, not only jataka stories, not only simple but very important basic dhamma, but sometimes you have to understand how mind works. What kind of things would they said about the relationship, body and mind, and so on. You have to address Paticamuppada, the Four Noble Truths, Noble Eightfold Path in a deeper level. So then uh, virya, right effort to overcome unwholesomeness and develop wholesomeness. Then speaking dharma, right speech, that is coming through right association. And then finally, we do particular practices in the meditation, in individual investigation, to see the five aggregates as they are. Especially, we want to see the rising and falling, Udayavaya. So these are the eight conditions of the Panya Sutta uh, uh, about wisdom development. So I got this from a website which I now cannot put here, but happy retreat. So this is after a retreat. So one of the friends of that retreat made a cake. So statement is here: another retreat, another silent period, another observation moment. The simile of a cake. Once you taste the taste of your favorite cake, within bracket, let just say the New York cheesecake, delicious, huh? You may not want to taste the taste of other cake. Why? Because you might be satisfied. Once you taste the taste of the truth, you may not want to taste any other taste in life. Why? Because you might realize what the life is all about. Life is about serving others. So this is a very important statement, and the truth is bitter according to many people, but truth also is so tasty, important, and it is giving us delightness. No matter how difficult it is the only thing giving us solace and happiness. So what is the truth? The truth is within all of us. We just need to observe it carefully in a silent manner, and retreat is a great occasion to observe the truth. The cake is just a contribution to Potluck. It is symbolic as it can be. So that is from a friend. So that is my take for today's Sutta discussion. Now exactly it is 9 o'clock, but we can take 10 minutes for discussion. So let's go on discussion. So let me have this. Stop sharing so that we can see each other. So friends, that is the Panya Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya. So now you know that you have particular activities to develop wisdom. Wisdom seems the type of results of some other practices according to this discussion. And at the same time, it has different practices to be done by all of us to increase it. and get the maturity of it. So, any concern, questions, additions for the discussion? So, you might have a questions that uh, why didn't the Buddha mention about Paticsamupad here or karma um, with that name especially, friends? Uh, Perhaps Buddha wanted us to have these eight conditions by by that way. Therefore, we get to know about Paticsamupad and karma and other qualities. So, if you enter into the training to develop panya with one of these, you would definitely know there that you have these things to go. So, in the Dhamma training, you are not given everything together to practice. Suppose you come to a monastery as a layperson, just to stay for a couple of days. So now you want monks to guide you. So they would not ask you to do everything in the training. Perhaps you will be asked to clean the ground and do vacuuming and clean the sign room, put the cushion in order. So they would ask help monks to have their regular practices and so forth. So the teacher would look at you whether you can do these things without any problem, and they will check your mindfulness. They will check your neatness. They will check your. They will take your patience into consideration in those activities you do. So by that, if the teacher is a great teacher, he understands what kind of character you are, and he will see how you take these activities into consideration. I have experience. When I was a novice monk, uh, I came to know a particular person, and he came to temple just to get the knowledge of Dhamma, and he's not happy when we asked him to do cleaning the ground and other activities. He wants to get books and read always, because he thought that getting into Dhamma and be a person he thought of would be coming to him only by reading books. Therefore, he was not a happy person for other young monks and other lay people at the monastery, because he did not care about others, and he did not have patience in practice as a part of his training. Therefore, he was marginalized. He was not cared very much by others. So, friends, in a setting, in a normal setting we have in our family life, doing each bit of activities at home mindfully and kindfully uh, help you develop your wisdom. You don't need to go to a monastery just to develop these things. Buddha did not mention about a particular place to develop these five wisdom with these eight factors. For monks, of course, they have sunyagara, they have under trees and forest. But lay people, you your place of developing Dhamma, especially Panya, is your home, right? So talk about Dhamma with your wife. Have you tried it? Talk about Dhamma with your children in a way they understand. Have you tried this before? And what about Sila? What about other things we mentioned in the eight conditions? So you can do it. So wisdom is a type of resource as well as a form of practice. So you should go with both ways. So any questions? Any concern? I can see that there are 16 individuals in Zoom meeting, and I do not know how many people join through YouTube. Uh, that I cannot see yet, but I see some individuals through live stream. Uh, so you can have your questions if you have. Otherwise, it's fine. I know that you are good listeners, and you can connect these Dhamma practices to uh, uh, your day-to-day reading and meditation. Therefore, uh, we don't say that you should have questions, because if everything we discuss here is clear, it means you are satisfied and no questions.
But just a small question, probably will touch that one a little bit. So the eighth one is to meditate on the five aggregates. Why it was chosen, not the say Satra Satipatthana?
Yeah, that's yeah. I had similar questions just to arouse my wisdom before this class. That's why I told you that why we don't say the practice mindfulness practices on Paticsamuppada, karma, and so. As you said, why don't we have Satara Satipatthana in the list? Actually, when we practice uh, the 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 Dhamma with the five aggregates of clinging, you should have the quality of Satipatthana in your mind. The Satipatthana is to develop Samma Sati in the Noble Eightfold Path with the presence of Sammaditya and Sammavayam. So, contemplating on five aggregates could only be done by somebody with sati, with right understanding, Sammaditya, and with virya. So otherwise, you could you couldn't go into deeper level of five aggregates of clinging. So suppose you, without any meditation experience, think about five aggregates of clinging. Still you have samadhi, still you have type of sammasati there. Otherwise you get lost in thinking. Suppose Nimal Mahatmya is thinking about Satipatthana, five aggregates of clinging. A part of Satipatthana training is there always presented in your thinking about the five aggregates of clinging. That's why Buddha did not want to mention these particular things, because they are included indirectly in these eight conditions. So when you associate in a good teacher, it would be about Satipatthana, it would be about other set of teaching. And when you engage with Dhamma discussion, it would be about Satipatthana and other things. And suppose you just converse yourself and with others, and they are all, Satipatthana come into play just to remind you that this is you should not talk this, this is not righteous and wholesome, so talk something else. So mindfulness in the form of Satipatthana alone with the other factors come into play in these factors. That's why I think Buddha did not mention uh, those Satipatthana and other things. And how about the situation? Perhaps this unknown group of monks, as mentioned in the Sutta, needed that type of teaching from the Buddha. That's why Buddha give the medicine like Dhamma for them. So sometimes Buddha is creative, not telling the same thing always, but not going out beyond the Dhamma, out of the Dhamma. He simply say different set of things in line with the Dhamma. So that is what I think why Buddha did not mention the word Satipatthana in these eight conditions.
Thank you, Bante.
All right. So Thank you very much for your questions, and thank you very much for chatting. And some people, confirm that things were understood very well. So now time is to end today's sutta discussion. So we'll be having person for uh, next Sunday. So I would definitely come to Sutta Sadikas prior to next Sunday, and would talk about the Chula Hattipadopuma Sutta next week, because it has a relevance to us, as many of you come from Sri Lanka. And Chula Hattipadopuma Sutta is about our identity as monks, as disciples of the Buddha, and let's see how we describe the sutta and how we get the suttas, Dhamma messages into our life. So, see you next week with the Chulhatti Padopama Sutta, and I wish you here the blessings of the Noble Triple Gem for a happy and peaceful night, and may you have a good sleep and wake up tomorrow morning with wholesome thought to make yourself and everybody else happy and peaceful. May you be well, happy, and peaceful once again. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.